I walked into the kitchen carrying a tray of wine glasses, already thinking about where to set up the bar for our engagement party tomorrow. The glasses nearly slipped from my hands when I saw them. Nate's lips pressed against my mother's. Her hand rested on his chest, fingers spread like she owned him. He wasn't pulling away. He was leaning in. My stomach twisted into something sharp and painful. The tray hit the counter with a loud crack. They both turned to look at me. Mom smiled. Not a guilty smile, not an embarrassed one. Just her normal smile, like I'd walked in on her checking the roast in the oven. Nate didn't flinch. Didn't step back. Didn't apologize. He just stood there, lips still wet from kissing my mother, and waited for me to react. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. My brain was trying to make sense of what my eyes had just seen, but nothing connected. Mom smoothed her dress and shrugged like I'd caught her eating cookies before dinner. Don't be dramatic, Brooke. It was just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Those were the words she chose. Nate finally found his voice, and what came out was worse than silence. She kissed me, he said, pointing at my mother like this absolved him of everything. I didn't know what to do. No apologies. No regret. No acknowledgement that they'd just destroyed everything. Just gaslighting wrapped in casual explanations. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. This was real. This was happening. And neither of them thought they'd done anything wrong. My name is Brooke Harrison. I'm 27 years old, and until 5 minutes ago, I thought I knew who I was. Marketing coordinator at a decent firm. Oldest daughter of Caroline Blake, the woman everyone in our neighborhood called elegant and gracious. Fiancé to Nate Sullivan, the man who'd proposed 6 months ago on a beach at sunset. I'd spent my whole life trying to earn my mother's approval, always feeling like I came up short. My younger sister Paige had been the favorite until she'd suddenly cut contact with the family 3 years ago. I'd never understood why. Now, standing in this kitchen watching my mother adjust her lipstick in the reflection of the microwave, I was starting to understand everything. This wasn't new. This was who Caroline Blake had always been. A memory surfaced, sharp and unwanted. I was 15. My first real boyfriend, Tyler, had come to dinner. Mom had worn a low-cut dress and sat too close to him. She'd laughed at all his jokes, touched his arm when she talked, asked him questions about his football games while barely acknowledging I was in the room. "Your mom's so cool," Tyler had said afterward. 2 weeks later, he'd broken up with me. At the time, I'd blamed myself. Now I saw it clearly. She'd always done this. Flirted with my dates. Made herself the center of attention. Called it charm. Called it being friendly. But it wasn't harmless. It was calculated. It was who she was. And I'd spent 12 years pretending not to see it because facing the truth meant admitting my mother was someone I couldn't trust. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Paige. "Call me. Now." I stepped out onto the back porch, leaving Mom and Nate in the kitchen. My hands were shaking as I dialed. Paige answered on the first ring. "What happened?" Her voice was tight, like she already knew. "I caught them," I said. "Mom and Nate. Kissing in the kitchen." Silence. Then she laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "I told you 3 years ago. Mom needs to be the main character in every story. Even yours." Her voice went softer. "I'm sorry, Brooke. I really am. But I warned you to keep her away from him." She had. At Christmas dinner the year before she'd left, she'd pulled me aside and told me Mom would eventually try to take anything I loved. I'd thought she was being paranoid. I'd been wrong. I went back inside. Mom was already talking about the engagement party like nothing had happened. "We still have so much to do," she said brightly, checking items off a list. "The caterer arrives at 3. We need to set up the tables by 5. She looked at me expectantly. "Think of your reputation, sweetheart. People are coming tomorrow. We can't cancel now." The crazy thing was, she was right. 200 people had RSVP'd. The deposit was paid. The food was ordered. Canceling would mean explaining why, and I wasn't ready for that conversation. Not yet. So I nodded. I smiled. I picked up the wine glasses and started arranging them on the bar cart. Mom beamed at me, proud that I was being reasonable. Nate hovered nearby, relief washing over his face. They thought I'd forgiven them already. They had no idea what I was planning. The engagement party happened. I wore the dress I'd bought 2 months ago, pale blue with delicate lace sleeves. I smiled at guests. I accepted congratulations. I let people toast to our future while I died inside. Mom was glowing, the perfect hostess, charming everyone who walked through the door. Nate's hand found my waist during the speeches, pulling me close like we were the happiest couple in the world. I didn't flinch. Didn't pull away. I leaned into him and smiled for the cameras. Inside, I was already 3 steps ahead, planning every move. They wanted me to be the emotional one, the dramatic daughter who overreacted to a simple mistake. I wasn't going to give them that satisfaction. I was going to be calm. Strategic. Devastating. Monday morning, I texted Mom. Coffee this week? I want to talk about wedding planning. She responded within seconds. Yes. I have so many ideas. We met at her favorite cafe on Wednesday. She brought the wedding binder she'd been assembling without my permission, full of magazine clippings and vendor suggestions. I ordered us both lattes and pretended to care about flower arrangements. While she talked about centerpieces, I was studying her. Learning her patterns. Her weaknesses. She pulled out her tablet to show me venue photos, and I noticed she hadn't logged out of her email. Can I see that one again? I asked, taking the tablet. I memorized the password she'd used to unlock it. 6 digits. Her birthday backward. When she went to the bathroom, I forwarded several emails to myself. Bank statements. Messages to her friends. Ammunition. Nate was easier. I'd been with him for 3 years. I knew his patterns, his security questions, his tendency to use the same password everywhere. That night, I casually brought up a story from his childhood, a camping trip with his dad. Remember when you told me about catching that huge fish? What was it called again? He smiled, nostalgic. Big Larry. I was 12. Big Larry. I tried it as his email password that night while he slept beside me. It worked. What I found in his inbox made my hands shake. Messages to my mother going back 6 weeks. Not just friendly chatter. Romantic messages. Inside jokes about me. He'd called her goddess in one email. She'd responded with a photo of herself in a dress I'd bought her for her birthday. They'd been planning this. Sneaking around. Laughing at me. One email caught my attention. It was from a lawyer, dated 2 months ago. Subject line, Estate of Helen Blake. My grandmother. She died last year, and Mom had told me Helen left everything to charity. You weren't in the will, honey. She was always closer to me. I'd believed her because why would my mother lie about something like that? But here was an email discussing a trust. $75,000. Left to me. To be released when I turned 28, which was in 3 weeks. Mom had been hiding it. Planning to claim she'd never received notice. Maybe even trying to get it redirected to herself. I sat in the darkness of our bedroom, Nate snoring beside me, and felt something cold settle in my chest. This wasn't just betrayal. This was theft. I called the lawyer the next morning from my office. His name was Howard Price, and he sounded relieved to hear from me. Miss Harrison, I've been trying to reach you for months. Your mother said you'd moved and hadn't left a forwarding address. I'd lived at the same apartment for 2 years. I'm here now, I said. Can we meet? We met that afternoon. He explained the trust, the terms, the timeline. Your grandmother was very specific. The money goes to you on your 28th birthday. Your mother has been asking about modifying the terms, but it's ironclad. He slid papers across his desk. Sign here, and we'll transfer the funds to an account of your choosing. You'll have access in 3 weeks. I signed. Then I opened a new bank account that afternoon at a different bank. Somewhere Mom couldn't trace. I needed insurance. Something to guarantee they wouldn't turn this around on me, paint me as the crazy jealous daughter who couldn't handle her mother's friendship with her fiancé. So I created a fake email address. Something generic and anonymous. I sent Mom a message that night. I'm a friend of Nate's. He's been talking about having doubts about marrying Brooke. He thinks she's too emotional. Too fragile. I thought you should know. I watched my laptop screen, waiting. Her reply came in 14 minutes. Thank you for telling me. Brooke has always been sensitive. I'll take care of him. Take care of him. Like he was hers to manage. Like I was a problem to be solved. I saved every email. Recorded every word. Built my case one message at a time. Mom wanted to go dress shopping for the wedding. Mother of the bride shopping, she called it. I agreed immediately, playing the role of excited daughter. We went to an upscale boutique downtown. She tried on 6 dresses, each one more elaborate than the last. The final dress made the saleswoman pause. It was cream-colored, almost white, with beading that caught the light. That's very bridal, the saleswoman said carefully. Mom turned in the mirror, smiling at her reflection. Too much. I stepped forward and touched the fabric. No, I said sweetly. It's perfect. You're going to look absolutely unforgettable. She bought it. I paid for alterations. Made sure it fit perfectly. After all, I wanted everyone at the wedding to see exactly who Caroline Blake really was. I called Paige that night. We hadn't spoken much since she'd left, just occasional texts on birthdays. I need you to come back, I said. For the wedding. As my maid of honor. She was quiet for a long moment. Are you actually marrying him? No, I replied. But I need you there. Please. Another pause. Then, okay. For you. Not for her. When she arrived 2 weeks before the wedding, she looked different. Stronger. Happier. We met for lunch without telling Mom. I'm proud of you, Paige said, and the words hit me harder than I expected. She'd never said that before. Growing up, she'd been the golden child, the favorite, the one who could do no wrong. Until she'd seen through Mom's manipulation and walked away. I should have listened to you, I admitted. You did, she replied. Eventually. That's what matters. The rehearsal dinner was at an Italian restaurant downtown. Nate's family, my family, the wedding party. I'd planned every detail carefully. During appetizers, I accidentally knocked my wine glass into Nate's lap. Red wine everywhere. He jumped up, embarrassed. I'm so sorry. I said, grabbing napkins. A waiter rushed over to help. His name was Marcus, and he was my friend's cousin. Gay, charming, and a former theater major who'd agreed to help me. Let me get you cleaned up, Marcus said, guiding Nate toward the bathroom. I'd briefed Marcus beforehand. Be friendly. Be flirty. See if Nate responds. 15 minutes later, they came back laughing. I watched Nate's body language. The way he leaned in when Marcus talked. The way he smiled. My phone was recording everything from my purse on the nearby table. Mom found the messages. I'd left my laptop open in the guest room where she was staying, knowing she couldn't resist snooping. The fake email chain I'd created was right there on the screen, conversations about Nate's doubts and his connection with someone new. I heard her gasp from downstairs. Heard her footsteps running to the kitchen where Nate was getting coffee. I crept into the hallway and watched from the shadows. Are you cheating on my daughter? Mom demanded, her voice shaking. Nate looked confused. What? No. What are you talking about? She showed him the messages. He read them, genuinely baffled. Caroline, I don't know who sent these, but it's not true. She slapped him. Hard. Don't lie to me. My phone recorded every second. Every word. Every moment of the chaos I'd orchestrated. The wedding morning arrived. I got my hair done at the salon, surrounded by bridesmaids who had no idea what was coming. The makeup artist made me look flawless. I put on the dress, a beautiful lace gown that had cost more than my car. Paige helped me with the buttons, her hands steady. "You ready?" she whispered. I looked at myself in the mirror. For the first time in weeks, I felt certain. Clear. I've never been more ready for anything. We drove to the venue, a historic mansion with gardens and a lake view. 200 guests were already seated. Mom was in her cream-colored dress, practically glowing with anticipation. Nate stood at the altar in his tuxedo, confident and handsome. Neither of them noticed I wasn't carrying the rings. Neither of them suspected a thing. The music started. I walked down the aisle alone, having told my father weeks ago that I wanted to walk myself. Every eye was on me. Mom was crying already, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Nate smiled as I approached. I reached the altar. The officiant began speaking, but I wasn't listening. I was pulling out my phone. "Before we continue," I said clearly, my voice carrying across the silent room, "there's something everyone needs to hear." I opened the recording app and pressed play. Nate's voice filled the speakers. "Caroline, you're incredible. I can't stop thinking about you." Mom's response. "We have to be careful. Brooke can't know." More messages. More evidence. The gasp started. Then silence. Heavy and suffocating. I looked at Nate. "You can have her." Then I walked away. Mom ran after me, heels clicking on the marble floor. "Brooke. Stop. You're embarrassing me." Her voice echoed through the venue. I turned around slowly. Behind her, 200 people were watching. Phones were out, recording. This moment would be on social media within minutes. "I'm embarrassing you?" I asked calmly. "You kissed my fiancé. You've been sneaking around with him for weeks. You stole my inheritance. You wore a white dress to my wedding. But I'm the one embarrassing you?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. No words came. For once in her life, Caroline Blake had nothing to say. I looked past her at Nate, who stood frozen at the altar. "You did this all by yourself," I said. Then I got in the car Paige had waiting and drove away. The fallout was immediate and brutal. The venue refused to refund Mom's deposit, citing the clause about cancellations made on the day of the event. Nate's parents called him that night and told him not to come home. They'd seen the recordings. Heard the messages. They wanted nothing to do with him. Mom tried to control the narrative, posting on social media about misunderstandings and family drama. But I'd already sent the evidence to everyone who mattered. Every relative. Every friend. Every person who'd been at that wedding. The emails. The recordings. The proof of the stolen inheritance. Within 48 hours, she deleted all her social media accounts. Too late. The damage was done. The truth was everywhere. I went completely no contact. Blocked Mom's number. Blocked Nate's number. Changed my apartment locks and didn't tell them where I'd moved. I withdrew the $75,000 from the trust the day I turned 28. Paige and I got an apartment together, a 2-bedroom in a neighborhood Mom would never visit. For the first time in 3 years, my sister and I actually talked. Really talked. About growing up. About Mom's manipulation. About the patterns we'd both learned to ignore. "Why did you finally leave?" I asked one night over pizza. "Because I realized she would never change," Paige said. And staying meant I would never change either. We clinked our wine glasses together. To changing. To choosing ourselves. To freedom. Nate showed up at my office 4 months later. Security called to ask if I wanted them to remove him. "Let him up," I said. I was curious. He looked different when he walked into my office. Thinner. Tired. Dark circles under his eyes. "Brooke," he started. "I made a terrible mistake. I wasn't thinking clearly. Your mom, she made me feel I held up my hand. Stop. He stopped. I stood up and walked around my desk until I was right in front of him. You didn't make a mistake, Nate. You made a choice. Multiple choices. Every text. Every meeting. Every lie. Those were choices. I walked past him toward the door and held it open. Goodbye. My heels clicked against the floor as I walked away. It sounded like applause. 6 months after the wedding that never happened, I heard through mutual acquaintances that Mom's house was for sale. The big colonial she'd been so proud of, the one she'd decorated perfectly for magazine-worthy photos. Rumor was she'd drained her savings trying to sue me for defamation. Her lawyer had apparently told her she had no case. Everything I'd shared was real. Documented. True. The lawsuit had gone nowhere except to her bank account. She'd lost friends. Lost respect. Lost her reputation in the community she'd spent decades cultivating. The house sold for less than she'd paid for it. I heard she moved to an apartment across town. I didn't visit. Didn't call. Didn't care. Some bridges deserved to burn. I used part of the inheritance to start my own marketing firm. Something small and manageable. Just me and 2 employees at first. We worked out of a renovated office space downtown. I specialized in helping small businesses build authentic brands. No manipulation. No fake charm. Just real stories told honestly. The business grew steadily. Word of mouth brought new clients. Within a year, I'd doubled my revenue. Paige worked as my operations manager. We fell into an easy rhythm. Cooking dinner together. Watching movies on weekends. Building the relationship we'd never had growing up. Do you ever miss her? Paige asked one night. I thought about it honestly. I miss the idea of having a mother, I said. But I don't miss her. Paige nodded. Me neither. A year later, I attended a friend's wedding. Real one this time, with 2 people who actually loved each other. At the reception, someone asked me about my family. Are you close with your mom? I smiled and took a sip of champagne. Not anymore. The woman looked uncomfortable, like she'd stepped on a conversational landmine. But I wasn't uncomfortable. I was free. I raised my glass toward the happy couple at the head table. To choosing yourself, I said quietly. Every single time. The DJ played something upbeat. People moved to the dance floor. Paige grabbed my hand and pulled me up to join them. We danced under string lights, laughing, completely unburdened by the past. I thought about that kitchen moment. The kiss. The betrayal. The beginning of everything. I'd made sure they'd never forget it. But more importantly, I'd made sure I'd never forget my own worth again.